Hello makers, I am so excited to get to talk to you about the Tim Holtz Idea-ology Spring 2023 release. How fun is it that we get a 2023 spring release? I don't think that I remember Tim ever having just a spring release for Idea-ology, so this is really exciting. So thanks Advantis and thank you Tim Holtz for bringing us a fun small release for spring. So the salvage rabbits, the tiny eggs, it inspired me so much that I didn't make just one thing, I made 3 because I was having so much fun. Today's tutorial, I'm really only going to talk to you about this vignette drawer, and then in the coming days or weeks, I will be sharing tutorials also on the mini book with the Easter basket and also on the spring market cart. But today, it's all about the vignette drawer. So I don't want to wait any longer. Let's get started on what you would need to make something similar with the things that you have in your stash. And then at the end, we'll come back and we will talk about some things that I really enjoyed about this make. For this project, you're going to need a vignette divided drawer for the base. I'm going to be covering the outside of the divided drawer with some of the wallpaper scraps, and I have chosen the light blue with pink pattern. There are 2 pieces in the pack, and so I will be covering the outside with that. Now the inside of the drawer and the individual boxes, I will be covering those with some of the backdrops papers. So I'm going to choose those later on when I get a little farther in the project. You're definitely going to need a package of the tiny eggs and the salvage rabbits from the Idea-ology spring release. They will be the focal point of this project. Along with that, from the everyday line, you will need one of the barrels. And then I am including a lot of the seasonal product from Christmas and Halloween. If you don't have these products, don't worry about it. See if you can come up with something that you can use instead. But I am going to be using some of the Woodland tree lot. Now they come like this now, which is, you get 1 large one, 2 medium, and 2 small. However, several years ago, they used to come like this where you could get 5 of each size. I really love that because then I had the option to use quite a few trees in a project. They don't sell them like this anymore, but you may have some like this in your stash. If you do, you're going to want to grab the one that has at least 5 of the tiny trees. Don't worry, if you don't have a set like this, you can still use this. You get 2 of the tiny, smallest trees, and then you have 2 of the medium trees. I just tried this to see if it would work. I took one of the medium trees and I cut it in half, and I made 2 small trees out of it. Now these small trees are smaller than the one that comes in the pack. So this is, you can see it's just a tiny bit smaller. But it works because we're going to be making Tim's tree lot carrots out of these, and not all carrots are the same size, so that's perfectly fine if you do it this way. So all I did was I took my Tim Holtz tonic scissors, cut this in half, and the top looks like this. The bottom, however, was very bushy, and so I left that wood disc on there, and I kind of used it to then angle my scissors, and I went around and I trimmed to make a tree shape with the scissors, and that's how I ended up with 2 small trees. So I will go over how to make these into carrots. Tim has done this on his YouTube channel twice now. And so I will put a link for the latest tutorial I will put in the description for this video, so you can see him do that technique. I'm also going to be using the Halloween urns, and actually just one of them. And I will be using a few of the Baubles. If you don't have Baubles, you could use Bubbles. If you don't have that, when I get to this part, we're going to be making cabbages out of them. I'll show you how you can do that with just paper and balling it up into a ball. So for most things, I have substitutes that you can use if you don't have any of the seasonal product. But this is what we're going to start off with, and I'm really excited about this project. I think it's going to be super, super cute. I mean, how can it not be? Look at these fun salvage rabbits and these tiny eggs. So let's get started making. We're going to make the carrot trees, or the tree carrots. And so I want to remind you that to see a full demonstration of this, that's really a very good demonstration, to click the link in the description for this video and watch Tim do it, because he does it best. But I'm going to try and show you how to make these tiny ones. So I have the two that I made from the medium-sized tree, as well as some from my stash. And as Tim says, this is, oops, I have some ink already on myself. As Tim says, this is a glove type of craft, so you need to have some gloves unless you want your hands very orange. And I don't, because I have to teach using my hands tomorrow. So I have several orange distress stains at the ready, as well as I have one of my orange oxide sprays, the carved pumpkin, and I also went into my stash and grabbed my jack-o'-lantern mica stain. So if you have that, you could use that as well, because I think I might be using some of the pearl alcohol inks today as well. So let's go ahead and get started spraying these. So you will hold them with the little wooden thing. Don't take it off yet. And then you're going to spray it with one of the stains. So I'm going to start with Spice Marmalade. And I've got that sprayed on there. That's pretty good. Add a little bit of the oxide just for the fun of it. And I think you're actually supposed to put the oxide first, but oh well. And let's try a little of the mica. Okay. Then what you do is you start working it into all of those little sisal bits, making sure they're all covered. And I'm working it all toward the tip. So you can see that it's already kind of starting to form a little bit of a carrot shape. You want to get that all on there. And as they get, the little sisals get wet, they will, you'll be able to form them. And then I've been running it through my fingers like that. Now it's not going to stay really thin like that. The bristles, once they get wet, they tend to expand out, which is helpful if you have, say, a tree that's kind of misshapen like this. You can just spritz it with water and it'll poof right back out and be completely full. So if we left it like this, it would actually end up looking like a tree with all the, you know, branches going up. And so we don't want that. So what you're going to do is take, and you're going to wrap this tightly. And just wrap it up nice and tight. This will also take off some of the excess. And then I'm going to set it aside and do a couple more. So I'll just speed this up and you can continue to watch me as I wrap them. So I have some little small paper towels over here that are ready to wrap these. And you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to tie them or anything. You just wrap them up and let them do their thing. So I'm going to just keep spraying these and wrapping them. And let's make some more carrots. I'm going to try and do the green part. Now, Tim uses raffia for his, and I could not find green raffia and didn't feel like trying to color it. So I bought this raffia ribbon. I think I have a lifetime supply now. I only have a couple of little carrots here. So, all right. So I took a piece of this ribbon. This will be so much easier if you just have actual green raffia because it's so much thinner. But I took a piece of this ribbon and I unfolded it. And then once I unfolded it, I cut it into thin little strips and just kind of tore it all the way down. So it actually unwraps pretty wide. I was kind of surprised about that. So if you end up with this stuff like I did instead of actual green raffia, or you don't want to dye raffia that you have and you end up doing this, this is how I ended up doing it. Okay, so you get it all unwrapped, and then I went through, and when I cut it, so I would do a little cut and then just kind of tear down and make little, just tear little strips all the way down. And so I just kept doing that. So that's kind of what I've been doing. So I have something like 5 or 6 strips. And then I went ahead and wrapped it around my 3 fingers. 1, 2, 3. Like that. And I squeezed the end together that's going to go over the carrot. And then I took a little thin piece and you're going to tie it. So I made this one longer. So you're going to tie it down here. And tie it again. And then I just kind of pulled these up with the end pieces, and you want to cut any of those that are folded, and then go ahead and do that whole thing where you trim it down. Careful of your fingers if you're cutting toward them. Okay. And I don't want these too long. And I cut some of them in half a little bit to make them thinner if I needed it. Okay. And then this down here, you want to cut those open as well. You could actually just do that. Okay. And then you want to just kind of, I splayed it out a little bit. You will take and put a little bit of glue on there and just kind of glue that around the top with hot glue. And there you go. There's your little carrot. I finished the little carrots, and so they're different sizes, but they're super cute. So I put them in the muffin tin, and I wanted to move on to trying to see if this other idea was going to work. So I wanted to frame out the vignette drawer in some scalloped Etcetera trims. So these are pressed paper. They seem like wood, but it's just thick pressed paper. And it's really sturdy and nice and thick, and I can usually cut it with my Tim Holtz tonic scissors, but I don't always get it cut the right angle for making something like, let's say, mitered corners on a frame. And since I wanted this to be the correct angle for a frame, a 45-degree angle, I decided I needed something, and so I just remembered that when I was growing up, my dad had like a box that you could put things in and then cut the angle off of it. So I went on Amazon, I started looking around, and when I was looking around for mitering corner tools or things like that, this came up, and this is a miter Snips, or this is called miter Snips. And so they are snips. So this is the safety. And so you can see that it cuts, and then you can change the angle of, you know, whatever it is that you're cutting. And so it has from 45 degrees to 135 degrees. And it has it on both sides. So right now it's set to cut at a 45-degree angle this way. And then if I need it to cut the other way for the other side, you just move it like that, and then you cut through it. Now, it said that you could cut through PVC pipe, you could cut through molding and things like that with this. Or it didn't say PVC pipe, it said PVC. So some, you know, that's pretty thick plastic though. And then molding. And so I thought, since this is pressed paper, that it should be able to cut through it. And it does. It cuts very well. So you can see that I have already cut some corners on here. Now, the Etcetera trim only comes, this is the longest one, and it is about, I would say it's about 6 inches long. So my kitten is trying to come in. So if he comes in and interrupts us, just know that's what that noise is back there. He likes to break into the studio. Now, I used the 2 of the long ones. These are 2 of the medium ones. The smaller ones would have fit, but I've used them all. So, you know, just use what you have. And then this is some of the longer ones also that I have measured and cut. So I'm going to try and show you how I measured and cut them. So I started off by cutting or drawing on a corner so that I knew which way I needed it to go. So this is going to go this way, so I need the angle to go like this. And I only drew on it because if I don't draw on it, then I might cut it the wrong way. And I wanted to be sure that I cut it the right way, because this isn't natural to me. So as you can see, I need my 45 angle to be going this way, because if I put this against there, you can see that the line is going the same way the snips are. If I put it that way, you know, if I moved it back down here, it would be going the wrong way. It would be cutting the angle this way. So that's why I drew on it, to kind of give me some direction. All right, so then I put this on here and I move it up to the line, and I got my corner of it up to the line, and I made sure that this is pressed up against the guard or the guide. And then all you do is snip. Look at that. Isn't that awesome? I love it. And then it just fits right on there, the perfect angle. I don't have to do anything to it, it's just done. So then what I did was I moved this. So line this up and make sure that they get lined up perfectly. Okay, now here's something I'm gonna do, because it doesn't look exactly right to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that I don't need to it's good. Okay. So you're going to line it up on the corner, and then put this on there. Make sure this is lined up against the side. And then I did this. I marked it like that, so that I could see where it went. And then see, if I put this on here, see how it's going the wrong direction? And so I need to move this, and you can only move it if you have this up. So hold the bottom so that you're not holding both hands. And then you line this up. And so I'm going to kind of go like this. Oh, that one's Leota. He let Leota in with him. So I have it lined up, and now I'm gonna squeeze, Where did my piece go? There it is. Ta-da! That's how it works. So now I have a little frame that will go around the front of this. I think that'll be really cute. And I have my, now you can paint these. You can put crackle on them. You can put paper on them. I still have my Sizzix dies that fit these perfectly, and so I will probably be using paper to cover them. But if you don't have those dies, like I said, you can paint them. You could put foundry wax on them. You could put crackle paint on them. All kinds of, you know, things like that to cover them. So anyway, that's how you make a little frame out of those, using some these are miter snips, and I got them off Amazon for like $19.99, right? The miter snips were successful. I was able to cut the corners on the Etcetera trim, then cover it with backdrops paper by cutting it out with the Sizzix Thinlits that matches these Etcetera trims, and then I attached it to the front of the vignette drawer with Distress Collage Medium, let it dry overnight. I used hot glue to, before I attached the frame, I used hot glue to attach the lights all around the inside of the frame. And then I put the frame over it to kind of cover them up. You can kind of see them a little bit here and there, but I think it worked really well to cover them so that we could have light in each of the boxes. Then one of the fun things I think about a project like this, where you have just a very limited release, is that you get to go back into your stash and kind of pull things that maybe you wouldn't use if it was a bigger release. And so I went into my stash of Idea-ology layers and baseboards, and I pulled out my junk drawer baseboards, and I went through and just pulled some things that I thought would kind of go with each box. And I also pulled some of the collector's layers. I think I've purchased 2 or 3 packs of the collector, and so I have those kind of packed in there. So I went through and I pulled some things out. So one of the layers is kind of a manufacturer, like the corner of a manufacturer thing from the collector's layers. And then I pulled these the paper fasteners, and then this round piece from the junk drawer baseboards. And the reason I pulled orange, even though I kind of have a pink and blue theme going here, is because this is the one that's going to have the bunny and the carrots. And then I trimmed the carrots off because I think I'm going to have some of them growing. I didn't trim all of them. And then I painted my bunnies. So this one's a little bit darker brown. So I'll have a bunny up there with some carrots. And so that's why I decided to kind of pull in some orange up in the top corner with the carrots. This one has stayed kind of with the pink theme. So it's pinks and greens. And this is the one that's going to have kind of a gardeny with the eggs in that one. And then this one will have a bunny and the cabbages. So it has kind of a, I don't know, a little scene back there. And then this kind of pink and green 56. And there's a tag that is one of the collector's layers. And this one has this green thing from the collector's layers, as well as the pink concert. And then this number 15 from the baseboards. So I think that will go well. And then I also did add one of the metal gates, and usually I like to bend them. I've done a couple of different things with those. And to bend them, I just take with my fingers and I gently just keep bending like that. And sometimes it breaks along the bottom here, but generally it stays together. And if you really want to bend it, you can get 2 of the needle nose pliers and hold them like this, and then gently bend all the way around as well. I've done that a couple times, especially when I bent 2 of them kind of like this in an arch shape to make a like an arch for flowers, for a garden archway. So Anyway, that's what I did here is I just bent it so it would kind of come out. I'm going to be putting some moss around the back there. I'll be putting some moss around here and there. And so I kind of wanted something, especially since I have carrots growing out of the ground up here. I kind of wanted something brown. And so then I thought, well, I'll just tie it in all the way down with some wood grain. So that's where we're at. I have not inked anything. I haven't finished my cabbages. I haven't colored my eggs. And so I have a lot of work to do here. Getting ready to begin the cabbages, so I wanted to take a minute and go over what I've done. I took a piece of distressed white heavy stock, colored it with distressed spray stain in shabby shudders and bundled sage. Then I cut out the large flower from Brushstroke Flowers 2. So I cut out the base of this one, and it looks like this. And this one I cut off the side, but really it'll be okay because I'm crinkling these all up anyway, so that doesn't matter. So I'll be wetting these and then crinkling them up completely, and then I'll flatten them out a little bit, and then I will be shaping them around, whoops, around the baubles. That was really loud. To make little cabbages. And then for the smaller ones, I cut a bunch of the base for the yellow flower from Brushstroke Flowers #1. And so it looks like this. I just cut that center flower out, and for this one, I just cut the main base flower out. So that's what I'm using for the outside of them, and then I will probably just take and rip off a little piece of this, wet it, and adhere it to the baubles, you know, that will be the center part. So I'll crinkle it all up and then just adhere it to the top of the bauble, and then cover it with these for the little lettuce leaves. So I will do that in fast forward so that you don't have to watch it in real time, because it's pretty boring. But just know that you need to get these wet, and then you need to get them all crinkled, and then you're going to put a lot of collage medium on here, and then you have to make sure that it stays together. Now, this is the first time I've used Baubles. I don't know that this is going to be the best technique. So I'm going to try one of each, and if that's not the best technique, then I'll go back to my original technique, which is to just tear a piece of this, crinkle it into a ball, and use that as the center, and then put these around the outside. So, but I'm willing to skip that step and see if the baubles work better. They might. So I'll check back in and let you know. colored the eggs with 1 drop of pistachio alcohol ink and 1 drop of pool alcohol ink in a little cup, swirled them around, let them dry, and then I took a little bit of ground espresso paint, which is over here, mixed it with water, put it on the brush, and flicked it on there. So now I'm just going to let it dry overnight because I think it's going to take a while to dry, and I don't want to risk having it like run or get messed up if I try and blow them dry with the heat tool, because I think that they'll roll. So I'm just going to stop and I'm just going to let them dry. I'm not going to worry about the other side because I feel like that will be, you know, I'll just glue the other side down so no one will get to see it. So I was trying to make little robin's eggs to put in this piece because I want it to be spring, not necessarily just Easter. So that's why I went with this kind of egg. So let's hope they dry overnight and we'll check back in the morning and see. Before I close everything down for the night, I thought I would stop and show that I put a handle on the top from these are the Curio knobs. And so I put the white one on the top, and then I finished with the bunny. But the more I look at it, the more I'm feeling like I think I need one more right there. And I happen to have one more that I didn't put the top on. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and put the top on that, trim it off, and go ahead and plant that one there in the corner. And the center is the one that I'm still waiting on. I'm going to put some flowers in there. And then I'm going to put the little eggs in the nest. And that will sit like that. And then down here, and actually it still all lights up, which I love. And then down here we have the cabbages and our little bunny who looks like he's getting ready to kind of climb in and have a lunch of cabbage. So we're just about done with the spring vignette drawer, just waiting on the eggs to dry tonight, and then I'll go ahead and put them in here, and I will probably color a few flowers to put around, and then this section will be done, and maybe one more carrot there, and we will be finished with the spring vignette drawer. All right, well, that was something. Here is the make as a finished piece, and let me go ahead and turn on the light. Okay, I really love how the light really just shines through this whole thing, brings it to life. Now, of course, on the top, I have the Curio knob. I covered the outside with that wallpaper, and then the Etcetera trim that worked so beautifully with those snips. I just am so happy with these, and they cut the Etcetera trim so easily. So I'm really very happy with them. And little backdrops to cover those, backdrops covering the inside of the vignette drawer, and then all of those layers and the junk drawer baseboards that are in the back. So all of that together, I think, just gives us a wonderful foundation for each of the little vignettes in the drawers. So this top vignette, how great that we can take those woodland trees, even the tiny ones, and make little teeny tiny carrots. So much fun. Thank you, Tim, for that tutorial because it really was delightful. I painted the Salvaged rabbit to be kind of a light grayish beige color, like one that you might see in the wild, and then gave him kind of a lighter tummy and a lighter little nose and mouth and lighter feet. I did decide to go ahead and trim some of those carrots so they look like they're growing, and then some of them that are just kind of laying there, have a rabbit holding one, and those bits and pieces in the back that are kind of pulling out that and helping to showcase those wonderful carrots. Then in the second one, really love this. I know I didn't go overboard with the eggs on this one. You know, I went overboard on the market cart with the eggs. But with this one, I was very understated with the eggs, but I really love just the 4 that I used because I had so much fun making them try and look like robin's eggs, and that a little robin had made a nest in the urn there in this beautiful garden. And that's really all I wanted to say. And it only took me 4 eggs to say what I wanted to say with that. So, you know, sometimes I think it's kind of like the tiny lights, you know, where sometimes we only need 1 or 2 to light up, say, the, you know, the little lantern or something like that. And you don't need all 20. And it's the same with the eggs. Sometimes you just need a couple to tell the story. You don't need all of them. And then down here in the very bottom, we've got kind of that beautiful landscape in the background that kind of helps tell the story of the rabbit, a different rabbit. This one's a little bit darker than the one above, but also in a garden and eating those really fun bauble cabbages that are in the barrel at the bottom. So this was a really fun vignette, just kind of doesn't really tell a story in and of itself, but it just kind of does tell the story of spring in 3 different little scenes. And so I just think this is a really fun, charming little spring make that isn't just for Easter. I can leave it out all spring. And then when I'm ready to move on to my summer decor, I can put it away and enjoy it a little bit longer maybe than some of them that are particularly Easter. So I hope that I answered any questions or that I was clear in describing how I put all of this together. But as always, if I wasn't, you are welcome to contact me through my blog that is linked in the description of this video. It's also playswellwithpaper.blogspot.com. There is a contact section in the right-hand column where you can email me, and I will be glad to get back to you as soon as I can to try and answer any questions or clarify anything that you may need some clarification on. I want to thank you so much for coming and supporting me, watching the video. So appreciate that. And I truly hope that you have a very creative day.